there, very good evening and welcome to the Rajya Sabha TV's News Tonight here. I'm Tracy Shilchi and in the next 30 minutes I'll be getting you the day's top stories from India and across the world. Let's start with the headlines. Indian Air Force reaches a significant milestone, gets its first domestically developed Tejas Light Combat Squadron, first of the 2 aircraft formally inducted today in Bengaluru. Centre asks Law Commission to examine the implementation of Uniform Civil Code for the first time, seeks a detailed report on the subject. Cloudburst in Uttarakhand's Chamoli district kills 30 people. Several houses in over 7 villages are washed away. 40 people are trapped under heavy debris. And expressing solidarity with agitating judges. 8,000 judicial employees go on an indefinite strike in Telangana. Judicial services are crippled in the state. But first, the Indian Air Force achieved a major milestone today, inducting 2 indigenously developed Tejas Light Combat aircraft, named the Flying Daggers. The planes were formally inducted into the force in Bengaluru today. Prime Minister Narendra Modi termed it a matter of unparalleled pride and happiness.
After a long wait of 33 years, India's first locally built combat aircraft officially took to the skies on Friday. State-run Hindustan Aeronautics Limited handed over the first 2 light combat aircraft Tejas to the Indian Air Force. They will be part of the new squadron, Flying Daggers 45, which will get the remaining 18 aircraft, including 4 trainers, in 2018. The LCA is far superior to Pakistan's JF-17, built jointly with China. The first domestically built Tejas squadron will have 20 aircraft, with 4 in reserve. The squadron will be based in Bengaluru for 2 years before shifting to Sulur in Tamil Nadu. The induction ceremony saw 2 series production fighters, SP-1, SP-2, joining the squadron.
That there is no doubt it will be the best fighter plane. And we've all worked together, it's synergy. Nobody else single-handedly can do this. The QRs were made. We had to change at times so as to get the best product for the country and for the Air Force. And I think we have achieved that.
The flyby-wire of this aircraft is excellent. Next to the flyby-wire is the avionics. The avionics is contemporary, state-of-the-art and comparable to any modern fighter in the world today. The third and most important part of the aircraft is its indigenous composition. At least 70% of the aircraft is indigenous as of today, and we hope that in the coming days, more and more percentage of this will become indigenous, and we are looking forward to a fully 100% indigenous aircraft in the years to come.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Defence Minister Manohar Parrikar welcomed the induction of Tejas into IAF. Prime Minister Narendra Modi termed the event as a matter of unparalleled pride and happiness, and a step that illustrates the skills and strengths of Indian scientists. Defence Minister Manohar Parrikar called it a moment of national pride.
These are the first stage, and we will be inducting the ones which are capable of firing laser-guided intelligent bombs and beyond vision missiles, which has been successfully tried on this aircraft, maybe after 1 or 2 years. But it's something to be proud of.
The induction of Tejas comes almost 15 years after its first flight and 33 years after the project was taken up. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
India today said that it will not sign the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty to enter the NSG. However, it will try to resolve its issues with China. Here are more details on that.
India on Friday said there was no question of signing the Non-Proliferation Treaty to enter the nuclear supplies grouping. The government says India considers the treaty discriminatory and will not accept it under pressure from China or any other global power, although it will try to resolve its differences with China.
If you look at the statement that was issued, it said that unless India signs the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, it cannot enter the NSG. There is no way India is signing the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, which we rightly regard as discriminatory.
The Foreign Ministry spokesperson also made it clear that India did not have any problems if China proved its case to enter the NTCR. He said India will benefit from the NTCR and the membership is in the interest of national security.
We believe that India, as a member of these global export control regimes, contributes to global non-proliferation efforts. Our membership of the MTCR was assessed on those very standards, and it matured within 1 year of our application. As far as any other country is concerned, well, their application will have to be assessed on its own merits.
Despite blocking India's entry into the NSG, China hasn't calmed down. On Thursday, it blamed the US for inciting Indian efforts to join the NSG only with the aim of countering China's interests. India has rejected the claim, stating that Sino-US trade relations are many times stronger than those it has with India. Akhilesh Suman's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
30 people were killed in Uttarakhand's Chamoli and Pithoragarh districts after torrential rains and cloudbursts hit different parts of the state in the early hours of Friday. The centre and the state government rushed disaster management teams to tackle the situation. The Prime Minister too has expressed grief over the deaths in the state.
Heavy rains in the early hours of Friday triggered cloudbursts in several districts of Uttarakhand. At least 30 people were killed and several houses in over 7 villages were washed away. More than 40 people are reported trapped under the heavy debris. The rain spread over 50 square kilometers, measured 100 millimeters in just about 2 hours. Movement along the national highways were also disrupted as major rivers, including the Alaknanda and Mandakini, crossed the danger level.
बादल फटे हैं, उससे पानी की स्थिति जो है बढ़ती जा रही है और 2013 में हमारा जो है 537.90 के करीब जलस्तर पहुंच गया था, जिससे श्रीनगर को नुकसान हुआ था। आज भी स्थिति अभी 1.5 मीटर नीचे है पानी अभी, पर बढ़ता जाएगा तो श्रीनगर को नुकसान पहुंच सकता है।
अलकनंदा का जो वेग है वो खतरे के निशान से ऊपर है। जो ऊपर नंद प्रयाग में बादल फटा उससे पानी का वेग काफी बढ़ गया यहाँ पे।
Chief Minister Harish Rawat announced a compensation of 2 lakh rupees each to the families of victims. NDRF teams were also rushed immediately to the state. The Met Department has forecast rains in the range of 60 to 120 millimeters in Dehradun, Nainital, Haridwar and Tihri districts for the next 72 hours.
मैंने आपदा प्रबंधन के लोगों से कहा है कि सब जगह अलर्ट तो हमने पहले से जारी कर दिया था, लेकिन सब जगह जो है आवश्यक सुरक्षा के लिए पहुँचे और बचाव कार्यों के लिए पहुँचे और मैं स्वयं उसको अब यहाँ से मॉनिटर कर रहा हूँ। चीफ सेक्रेटरी भी उसी काम पे बैठे हुए हैं। जिन लोगों की मौत हुई है हमें बहुत गहरा दुख है।
कुछ ऐसे भी लोग हैं कुछ स्थानों पर जहाँ वो दबे पड़े हुए हैं। हमारी टीम ऑलरेडी रवाना हो चुकी है, लेकिन उसको मल्टीपल चैलेंजेस का सामना करना पड़ रहा है। सबसे बड़ा चैलेंज है कि रोड ब्लॉकेज है वहाँ पे। पिथौरागढ़ में ही 15 ऐसे स्थान हैं जहाँ रोड ब्लॉकेज है, उनको सब जगह क्लियर करके वहाँ पहुँचना पड़ रहा है। साथ ही साथ हम लोगों ने ये भी कोशिश की कि हेलीकॉप्टर से उनको भेजें, एयरबॉर्न करके भेजें, लेकिन पुअर विजिबिलिटी के कारण वो लैंड नहीं कर पा रही है। एज ए रिजल्ट हमारी टीम्स जो है वो रास्ते से जा रही है और पहुंच जाएगी और पहुंच कर ही वो सर्च एंड रेस्क्यू ऑपरेशंस करेगी।
Landslides and flash floods kill on an average at least 73 people each year in Uttarakhand. In June 2013, catastrophic flash floods killed at least 6,000 people and damaged public property worth 13,000 crore rupees. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And out of Jammu and Kashmir, where militants attacked a police team in Budgam district of the state. 3 people, including an assistant sub-inspector and 2 local residents, were injured. The incident took place in the main market in the Charara Sharif area of Budgam at around 3 p.m. and a gun battle is still continuing between the militants and security forces. The latest attack comes just a week after a CRPF convoy was ambushed last week, in which 8 personnel were killed and 21 critically injured. Now, in a first, the Centre today asked the Law Commission to examine the issue of implementing the Uniform Civil Code. It also sought a detailed report on the subject. This case is likely to be heard by Constitution Bench of the Apex Court.
The Centre has asked the Law Commission to examine the implementation of Uniform Civil Code. This is the first time it sought a detailed report on the subject.
I think this is a beginning. At least an action and initiative has been taken on this. The government has moved ahead to take initiative on this action.
The court has come up very strongly on Uniform Civil Code or those provisions of personal law which are coming in conflict with the Constitution. So now the time has come where personal laws should not come in conflict with the Constitution. And the court, we hope that the court will take a stand on this.
A uniform civil code will mean a set of common personal laws for all citizens. Personal law covers property, marriage and divorce, inheritance and succession. Uniform code has been opposed by various religious bodies in the country.
Supreme Court has addressed this question, and if government has asked the Law Commission to discuss the issue, let us see what Law Commission is going to propose. But the point is, the whole thing will have to be seen from the position of women. Women should get justice. Women should be treated equally in all spheres of life, in all religions.
Personal law also must conform to the constitutional basic structure, which is equality, freedom of speech and expression. And how can you be equal when the right to give divorce arbitrarily by triple talaq is given only to the men? Why can the women not have the same right?
मैं समझता हूं कि यूसीसी सिर्फ इसलिए उठाया जा रहा है कि विभाजन के मुद्दे, तोड़ने के मुद्दे, आपसी वैमनस्य फैलाने के मुद्दे और एक ऐसा वातावरण बनाने के लिए जिससे कि वोटों को खींचा जाए, ये दुर्भाग्य की बात है.
Non-implementation of a uniform code has been the subject of much political debate and often linked to secularism. The Law Commission will hold discussions with experts and stakeholders on the issue. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
The central government today unveiled details of a regional connectivity scheme that is expected to improve air connectivity. The scheme caps fares for flights to unserved airports at 2,500 rupees for one-hour flights. There will also be a demand-driven selection of airports for revival in consultation with state governments and airlines.
Small towns Pune, Bhatinda and Bikaner could all go on the aviation map, thanks to the government's regional connectivity scheme that will apply to routes spread over 200 to 800 kilometers. A minimum of 3 and a maximum 7 flights per week per route will be allowed under this scheme, with a minimum of 9 seats and a maximum 40 per flight. The government hopes this scheme will utilize many unused airstrips and airports.
31 airports inactive as it is. So the inactive airports will become low-hanging fruit in different states.
A regional connectivity fund is also being created to fund the scheme. The fund will be financed through a levy of Rs 8,000 per departure on all domestic routes except remote and northeastern states. The government hopes to raise 500 crore rupees annually through this levy. States are also expected to contribute 20% to the fund, while the centre will also offer lower service tax to propel the scheme.
You see, the states are interested in connectivity. Till now, they've been coming up with wish lists. Now, states are the ones that are doing the economic activity, know the tourism potential, know the potential of this thing, they know their plans. So, if they feel that it is, because all this will be given to them, their feedback will also be taken into account with the, Government of India can't bypass any state.
The RCS is expected to be in place from the second quarter of the current financial year. India is the fastest growing aviation market, clocking a 22% rise in domestic traffic. The government hopes to increase the number of flyers to 30 crore by 2020 from present 8 crore. Government's regional connectivity scheme aims to attract air charter companies and non-scheduled operators to launch operations. But it would be important to see as to how states would react to this scheme, given the fact that they have to provide pecuniary support, free security and fire services, and also utilities at concessional rates. Reporting from Delhi, with camera person Prashanta, I'm Kriti Mishra for Rajya Sabha Television.
The Supreme Court today agreed to hear Delhi government's petition for full statehood and clarity on the extent of powers under Article 299AA on the 4th of July. The Aam Aadmi Party government filed the petition seeking to restrain the High Court from delivering its verdict or its judgment on issues including the scope of powers of the government. It also claimed that only the Supreme Court had the jurisdiction to deal with issues relating to powers of states and the centre. The Aam Aadmi Party government alleged that it was unable to function as most of its decisions were either annulled or changed by the centre at the behest of the Lieutenant Governor. Family members of an Indian national who was kidnapped in Nigeria by suspected militants yesterday have appealed to the government to secure his release. Andhra Pradesh resident S. Srinivas and his colleague were allegedly kidnapped by armed men while on their way to work on Wednesday. Srinivas is working as a civil engineer at a cement plant in Benue State in north-central Nigeria for the last 3 years. Nigerian authorities reportedly launched an operation to find the missing men and are in touch with the Foreign Ministry and the Indian Embassy. Meanwhile, judicial services were crippled in Telangana with around 8,000 judicial employees going on an indefinite strike today. Around 200 judges and employees from the state are seeking withdrawal of the provisional allocation of judicial officers between Andhra Pradesh to Telangana courts and the bifurcation of the High Court. The employees want the suspension orders of 11 judges to be revoked and vacant posts filled up in various courts. The strike is in force in all 10 districts of the state. Earlier, 11 judges were suspended on disciplinary grounds by the High Court. With that, let's take you through some more updates from across the country in Nationwide. Madhya Pradesh Chief Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan dropped 2 senior ministers and inducted 4 ministers of cabinet rank and 5 ministers of state. Babulal Gaur and Sartaj Singh were shown the door, while senior leaders like Om Prakash Dhuvre, Rustam Singh, Archana Chitnis and Jaibhan Singh Pavaiya were inducted. The Chauhan government now has 20 cabinet ministers and 9 ministers of state. CAG Shashikant Sharma today sought discussions on the need to audit financial sector regulators to check their effectiveness in dealing with frauds. Sharma deemed it essential in the light of growing financial frauds in a country that is largely financially illiterate. India successfully test-fired a new generation medium-range surface-to-air missile twice at Chandipur. Developed by the Defence Research and Development Organization, or the DRDO, and the Israel Aerospace Industries for the Indian Air Force, the missile successfully shot down pilotless target aircraft twice. These missiles would be inducted in all 3 services after users' trial is completed. With a quick break, but the news continues after that. Stay with us.
Hello and welcome to Rajya Sabha TV. You're watching Constitutionally Yours.
महात्मा गांधी जी उनका एक ड्रीम था कि पंचायती राज जो है उसको बनाया जाए.
The पंचायती राज institutions, their condition is not very good.
ग्राम सभा में जैसे बीपीएल का सिलेक्शन पे बहुत ज़्यादा शिकायत आती है.
So what do you have to say about such a low participation in the village panchayats?
हमारे मंत्री लोग, हमारे एमएलएस ग्राम सभा में जाते थे.
Join us as we try to understand contemporary issues related to the Constitution. Watch Constitutionally Yours on Rajya Sabha television.
Welcome back. Let's get to international news. And the Pentagon has formally ended its decades-long ban on transgender people being able to serve openly in the U.S. military. Defense Secretary Ashton Carter, in fact, made the announcement after studying the issue for almost a year. He said that the decision was a matter of principle.
I'm announcing today that we're ending the ban on transgender Americans in the United States military. Effective immediately, transgender Americans may serve openly, and they can no longer be discharged or otherwise separated from the military just for being transgender.
The Pentagon's announcement formally ending its ban on openly transgender people serving the US military. It also ends the risk to an estimated thousands of US troops who once could have been kicked out of the armed forces due to gender identity.
Our mission is to defend this country, and we don't want barriers unrelated to a person's qualification to serve preventing us from recruiting or retaining the soldier, sailor, airman, or Marine who can best accomplish the mission. We have to have access to 100% of America's population for our all-volunteer force to be able to recruit from among them the most highly qualified and to retain them.
The repeal comes after a 2011 decision to end the US military's ban on openly gay and lesbian people, following which the US Army Secretary Eric Fanning took office. Fanning is the first openly gay person to become the top civilian official in any branch of the American military. The decision was welcomed by LGBT members and campaigners for transgender rights.
It's going to be good for the Defense Department. It's going to be good for the several thousand troops who have been really, they and their units and their commanders have been kind of in limbo. These troops who are there already serving, who are transgender, who are not sure kind of what to do, now know they can serve openly without risking their careers.
Kind of bittersweet because we're already here, we're already serving, and we always have been. It's just now that it's been put on paper that they have to show us dignity and respect like other human beings.
Following the lifting of the ban, transgender service members will now receive the same medical coverage as any other military member. The Pentagon will also create a guidebook for commanders on how to lead transgender service members. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Meanwhile, India has abstained from a United Nations Human Rights Council vote to appoint an independent investigator to prevent discrimination of homosexuals and transgenders. A total of 23 member states voted in favor of the bid, including the US and European countries, while China, Russia and 16 African and predominantly Muslim states rejected it. India, South Africa and the Philippines were among the 6 countries that abstained. The official for the post will be appointed for a 3-year period and will serve to fight challenges faced by the LGBT persons. The move, in fact, to create the special office comes after the Orlando mass killing in June. Meanwhile, LGBT activists in India expressed disappointment over India's move and have demanded Prime Minister's intervention.
And this issue of the United Nations Human Rights Council taking up the issues of sexual orientation and gender identity, India did not support the thing. I think that shows you are transphobic, you are a homophobic, you are a sexphobic and you are a biphobic. And how do we address this issue? I demand the Prime Minister of India, please break your silence. Please break your silence to speak about inclusive society.
And the reason it will help to curb the violations is because if something is documented, you can act on it. There are laws that can be invoked against it. So it's very important that this has happened, and also it shows that the UN, many countries in the UN think this is very important to do. So it's unfortunate that India abstained from it.
No official word, of course, coming in from the Indian government. Meanwhile, let's get you more updates from across the world in Global Buzz. A Palestinian stabbed 2 Israeli citizens near an outdoor market in the Israeli city of Netanya. In fact, one person was seriously injured. Israeli guards shot the culprit and one member of the civilian armed response team was wounded. Since last October, 33 Israelis and about 199 Palestinians have been killed. Israeli Prime Minister has asked the Palestinian leader to condemn the attack and to take necessary steps to stop the violence. A Hindu priest, Shamananda Das, was killed in Jhenaida district of Bangladesh by unknown assailants. Bangladesh is a Muslim-majority nation and has seen an increase in violent attacks in recent months against liberal activists, authors and members of minority Muslim sects and other religious groups. A landslide on Friday morning buried 29 people in Pianpo village and left 20 others missing in Dafang County in southwest China's Guizhou province. 7 people were rescued from the debris. 8 more injured people were rushed to the hospital. Meanwhile, the Communist Party of China celebrated its 95th birth anniversary in Beijing. Chinese President Xi Jinping, the Chinese Premier Li Keqiang and other members of the Standing Committee of the Political Bureau of the Central Committee took part in the celebrations. Xi Jinping highlighted the importance of development and stability in the last 95 years. On to some news now from UEFA Eurocup 2016, where Wales will take on Belgium in the second quarter-final match tonight. For Wales, the match assumes significance as they have not reached a major final since they were beaten by Brazil in the 1958 World Cup. Earlier today, of course, Portugal beat Poland 5-3 on penalties after the sides remained 1-1 in regulation time. Here are the details.
Wales take on Belgium in the second quarter-final clash of the UEFA Eurocup 2016 in Lille on Friday night. Belgium start favourites, but Wales won their last encounter with Gareth Bale scoring the decisive goal in a 1-0 qualifying victory in France. Both teams have evolved since the match in Cardiff. Wales are reveling in their Euro 2016 adventure, sweeping into the last 16 with a spectacular demolition of Russia, then grinding out a nervous win over Northern Ireland. Meanwhile, Belgium appeared to finally click into gear with a ruthless 4-0 second round thrashing of Hungary.
Ouais, le dernier match contre eux, comme j'ai déjà dit, on ne s'est pas créé beaucoup d'occasions. On a eu beaucoup de fois du mal à marquer. Voilà, c'est un gros bloc défensif. Ils jouent à 5 derrière. Voilà, pas facile à bouger avec des joueurs importants au milieu, devant une superstar.
Ranked 26th in the world, Wales face a side 24 places above them. However, they beat and drew with Belgium in qualifying for Euro 2016 and have already progressed further than England, Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland. Wales may lack the strength of their opponents, but have star quality in the form of Gareth Bale and Aaron Ramsey.
Everything on it tomorrow, and it won't matter that we beat them the last time in Cardiff, when we've had a couple of draws. They beat us the first game 4 years ago. All that doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. It'll be all about tomorrow.
Wales have not reached a major final since they were beaten by Brazil in the last 8 of the 1958 World Cup. The winner plays Portugal, who beat Poland 5-3 in a penalty shootout in Marseille on Thursday. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And here are more updates from the world of sports in Sports Beat. Former Indian cricket captain and team director Ravi Shastri has resigned from the post of media representative in ICC's prestigious cricket committee. The official reason given was that he was busy with media commitments as a commentator, TV expert and a columnist. Goalkeeper Gurpreet Singh Sandhu became the first Indian to be named in the Norwegian club Stabæk FC's squad for Europa League qualifier. The former East Bengal goalkeeper played a number of matches in the Norwegian Cup competitions last season and also started a league game in May this year. Sandhu joined the Norway side in 2014 and has been their second choice goalkeeper for the last 1.5 seasons. New Zealand defeated India 1-0 in the Six Nations Invitational Tournament at Valencia in Spain. Steven Jeunesse scored the lone goal in the 18th minute after a scoreless first half. This was India's second defeat in the tournament. They lost to Germany 0-4 in their first game and beat Ireland 2-1 in their second. India will next play Argentina on Saturday. Russian men's quadruple sculls rowing team has been banned from the Rio Games after one of its members failed a doping test in May. World Rowing Federation FISA said a prohibited drug was found in a urine sample from rower Sergei Fedorovsev at an out-of-competition test earlier in June. Manchester City have signed Spain forward Nolito from Celta Vigo after meeting his £13.8 million release clause. The 29-year-old has signed a 4-year contract to become City's third summer signing. New manager Pep Guardiola has already brought in Ilkay Gundogan from Borussia Dortmund for £20 million, as well as Australian midfielder Aaron Moy. And that's all we have for you in the news tonight from the entire team here. Good night.